Hey there gang, Kawaii50 here with another Honkai Star Rail video, taking off my glasses because they do bad reflections in the monitor in front of me. And I wanted to talk about Yunli because I saw Yunli's character trailer. Pretty dang good. I'm pretty interested as a concept. I always like, small character, giant sword. I think that's a super cool way to go about the giant sword sort of mentality, much like Charlotta in Grand Blue. I think it's totally dope. I was looking at Yunli's kit, and I was watching the Keeping Up with Star Rail regarding Yunli's kit, looking at, oh, she's got a parry. Oh, she's physical. Oh, she can, AoE hit enemies. And that got me thinking, and, looking through my units, and I'm like, this is oddly similar to Clara. And that's sort of what set off a couple of, thoughts in my head and made me want to go ahead and make this video. Now, this is not a doomsaying video. Let me go ahead and do that straight away. I'm not trying to be like, Honkai Star Rail is getting utterly obliterated by power creep. But, I mean, I think it's worth talking about and worth speculating going forward as we move into the 2.5 era and beyond for Star Rail. So I hope you enjoy, what we're going over in this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, etc. All those things really help me out as I try to get to 10k subs by the end of the year. And let's go ahead and talk about Star Rail and Yunli and probably some other games too. So yeah, if you're checking out the Yunli gameplay on the screen, or you've seen the Keeping Up with Star Rail before checking out this video, you kind of got the gist of it. Yunli is designed around being targeted and, using her ultimate and parry in surprising ways to ensure that she is targeted, she gets hit, and she ends up countering with impunity. Again, very similar to Mr. Svarog retaliating whenever Clara is attacked. And I've seen, occasionally on the internet this setting off a couple of alarm bells here and there, people wondering, oh, is this finally it? Is this finally when Clara gets power crept? And while an interesting discussion, I don't necessarily think that's any sort of guarantee. Now, while some will say that Star Rail is introducing a lot of powerful characters, they're sort of doing it a little differently, rather than just, hey, here is character A, here is character B, who is a distinctly better version of character A. They're doing something where they're introducing different bosses and different mechanics, and then releasing characters that play well with those mechanics in order to, give players an easier time whenever something like that pops up in Memory of Chaos, in Simulated Universe, what have you. I know for sure, at least myself, when I was plugging away at the Nihility Memory of Chaos a little while back, I was personally struggling because don't have Kafka, don't have Black Swan, much to my chagrin. So unfortunately, I wasn't getting the crazy stars on that. However, when Memory of Chaos came out favoring the likes of Acheron and Firefly, who I have, I absolutely cleared house and obliterated with those characters. Different fights require different characters optimized, so even though there are 4-star variants that can sort of help, having those 5 stars is part of their selling point. They're like, we're going to release a new interesting fight, and then we are going to release a character that is designed for that kind of interesting fight, sort of asking players to fill out their toolbox with specific tools for each specific job. It's not necessarily like power creep we've seen in other games. Take, for example, and I know I'm going to absolutely blow people's minds with this reference, but take, for example, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, when they released Neo Vision characters, and basically everything before that that wasn't a Neo Vision character was immediately rendered obsolete because of the absolute potential of those characters. It is not a situation like that. And no game is immune to anything like that. Take a look at Fate Grand Order, for example. When we ended up getting Caster Artoria introduced, the previous art supporter Tamamo no Mai was completely rendered obsolete and chucked into the gutter. Do I personally think Tamamo is a better character than Caster Artoria? Up for debate. Lost Belt 6 was great, but Tamamo is great, and I love Fate Extra, so it's kind of close there. But mechanically, nope, there's no reason to run Tamamo if you have Castoria. So that's another example of that situation. Now, FGO does something that I really want to see Star Rail really do down the line, and something I think is going to super benefit it, which is buffing their previous characters. They will occasionally release buffs to previous characters, making them stronger, making them more in line with whatever mechanics are currently being released in that game. So if you have somebody that's been sitting in the depths of your box just chilling, they will eventually come out and be able to do battle on the same level as some of the newer characters. This is something I really, really want Star Rail to start doing. And I think they need to start doing it maybe a little sooner rather than later. Right now, what they've sort of done is take, for example, Jing Yuan. Jing Yuan was sort of falling behind, but with the release of Robin, that ended up kicking him up a little bit. Releasing a character to fix a problem that another character is having isn't a viable long-term solution in my eyes, and more apt to make your player base upset, because it's like, oh, if I want to use my favorite character again, I've got to make sure I pull for this guy and this guy. Or I haven't been able to clear any content I want with my favorite character because they are just been rendered so obsolete. So I need to make sure I get this guy, and God forbid you spend all of your saved currency and you don't get that character. Now that is an extra feel bad moment. You are just absolutely left crushed and obliterated because you know you are missing that key piece for your character to be successful. And it generates a lot of FOMO too on top of that. Like, oh no, what if I don't get this? It's a lot of anxiety that you shouldn't have when playing a video game. So I really would rather they, I get that we are in a stage of the game where we are trying to expand out our support offerings, expand out our character offerings. We're still in the 2.x era. It's going to take time to really continue to iron stuff out and see more about where the future of this game is going to go for the long term as we introduce more mechanics. There are going to be, some really, really great things that end up coming out of this. Ron May, for example, really great thing, viable in every single team everywhere. There's going to be, of course, some missteps. Aventurine as a boss. I absolutely hate it. Please do not make me fight that boss ever again in the history of mankind. I hate RNG-based bosses, but there's going to be growing pains. There's going to be differences. With Yunli, I really don't think it's any sort of time to sound the alarm bells. Yes, it's a very similar character to Clara, but if you already have Clara, you already have a character that does that thing, and I really don't think the difference is going to be that much of a gulf between them. So maybe consider still using your Clara. I mean, you can get a Yunli if you like the character too, but, I mean, if you're worried about not having your crazy physical character or have your physical character get obsoleted, I wouldn't start going down that path just yet. The game is still in a fairly early state, so, I mean, that's relative. That's relative. I know we're not in the 1.x era. Don't start yelling at me in the comments. But we're still in a fairly early state, all things considered, compared to a bunch of other live service games, a bunch of other gacha games that are out there on the market. So maybe just relax, maybe just take a deep breath, and know that if there are problems in the game, in the best interest of the game company, especially now when fans are more vocal than you can say they've ever been, there's a chance to fix it. There's a chance to grow and change. And with how good Honkai Star Rail has been treating its community, I'd say the chance of that change being a net positive is a lot higher than it would be for some other games. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments, questions, comments, concerns, any of that. I would absolutely welcome opening any sort of civil discussion with any of you. Be sure to check out the Discord, Patreon, and Ko-fi down in the description section. Huge thanks to everyone on all of those platforms for all of their support, and a big thanks to you on YouTube for watching to the very end. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.